This is a man who thinks space travel and exploration will somehow manifest the solution to all of society's problems.
To Mars. I'm talking about less than 1% of our economic output should go to making life multiplanetary. But it is a natural extension of expanding the scope and scale of consciousness.
We're going to the edge of the heliosphere, where the sun's magnetic field won't affect our instruments one bit. We'll be able to examine any star system. We're doing big things up here, real big. Mainly, we're about to answer the number one question: when do we find all the intelligent life out there? And we know we will. I'm overwhelmed at seeing and feeling his presence. So close. I love you, my son.
A self-important genius with grand ideas that run beyond the boundaries of our small planet. A far-reaching imagination that the world never quite understood.
Here he is, this kind of sensitive, incredibly smart, dreamy kid, reading science fiction books and physically getting beaten up at school. I think that must have had a profound impact on him.
Well, that exposes Elon's meekness. And Elon's own father, Elon Musk, has demonstrated to have expressed disgust over his son's weaknesses.
When Elon got bullied on the playground and one day was pushed down some concrete steps and had his face pummeled so badly that Kimball said, I couldn't really recognize him. And he was in the hospital for almost a week. But when he came home, Elon had to stand in front of his father, and his father berated him for more than an hour and said he was stupid.
The intellect that alienated the world from him and his own father sides with the world.
And took the side of the person who had beaten him.
That's probably one of the more traumatic events of Elon's life.
And then the son goes on to find another man who seemingly sees value in his achievements.
Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. And I saw that rocket, and I saw it coming down. I saw it, when it left, it was beautiful, shiny white. When it came down, it didn't look so pretty.
He's drawn to his side. As what is Freudian transference? It's the transference of unconscious feelings from one person, like say a parent, to another individual. The subject unconsciously sought out a figure that resembled his father, even though he unconsciously dislikes him. Attachment created a psychological pattern that draws him towards familiar dynamics.
Father, if you can hear me, I'm attempting to communicate with you.
The new figure that is the stand-in father. His subconscious is deluded into believing he can relive his traumatic past and excel within it, thus undoing the black cloud that haunts him.
And Errol had one of those Jekyll and Hyde personalities. He was, a great mind of engineering, but he also just be psychologically abusive.
His father's narcissistic abuse could maybe be undone. His new figure would have to resemble his old father, of course. Trump didn't take his industrial pursuits seriously after all.
When Elon Musk came to the White House asking me for help on all of his many subsidized projects, whether it's electric cars that don't drive long enough, driverless cars that crash, or rocket ships to nowhere, without which subsidies he'd be worthless, and telling me he was a big Trump fan and Republican, I could have said, drop to your knees.
Not until he needed something, like say a propaganda machine maybe. Elon's father also didn't see much value in Elon either. Well, not enough to console him during his moments of weaknesses. And despite the vast wealth that he'd accumulated in his lifetime.
And so I got into it, and I was dealt in emeralds, so it became quite a big business.
He left his own family, including his children, destitute when his wife divorced him.
May and Errol divorced. She left what she described as an abusive relationship. May struggled as a single mom. She said she'd cry because she couldn't buy more milk that day. She worked several jobs to support her 3 children.
And yet, Elon is still happy to spread his success to these individuals now that he's the world's richest man. And they happily accept, of course. Narcissists would accept if it benefits them. Trump has the endorsement of a billionaire and his big tech platform. And Elon Musk has a biological son who sends him money to support him.
My brother and I have been supporting him financially for the last 25 years.
Both figures present an asymmetric exchange, and yet, as the world's richest man, this is what gives him solace.
I'm being pulled farther and farther from the sun to you.
To find himself in these relationships. But why Trump exactly? I mean, the natures of the relationship match each other, but why did he seek it out from Trump in the first place? Well, the idealized father figure tends to be the blueprint that the subject would use to be a man, how they would define a male presence. During Elon's childhood, Elon Musk fended off robbers with a rifle in their house.
He was also a witness when a gang of armed intruders broke into the family home.
One night, they were sitting in the living room, and his dad, said, "Everybody down, get down," and grabbed some weapons. As you could see on the cameras, there was some intruders, and there was a shooting in the living room, and I guess his father shot them dead.
The event most likely bubbled away in his subconscious. Now Elon sees that a person's ability to act quickly and bravely in an emergency is a significant part of what defines a man. And when a bullet grazed Trump's ear and Trump dropped to the ground with impressive haste, and then even more dramatically, brazenly pumped his fist into the camera, these are the actions of people who know how to act in an emergency. Both Errol and Trump idealized a man, you could say. And when those perceptions of masculinity don't align with Elon's own attributes, that draws him closer to the new father figure. Say, Trump's impressive athleticism in ducking from gunfire, and Elon's absolute lack of any athleticism. Both men also show signs of escaping the atmosphere of traditional boundaries as associated to family.
Although she does have a very nice feet. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
In 2017, I had a little boy with the daughter of a woman that I was once married to. One thing led to another. Weekend she stayed with me, and she came a couple of months later to tell me that she was pregnant. So I said, well...
As narcissists, the family is only an extension of themselves. As Jung would call it, the shadow of the father, to use one's achievement to reach escape velocity and leave the father's sphere of success. Although Elon's father is just a sad old man now, who's financially dependent on his son and makes occasional appearances on a Fox News wannabe channel.
But unfortunately, he has a few screws loose, and he actually went bankrupt in the 90s.
By the time Elon could outgrow his father, he'd already shrunk, whereas Trump, well, he's the next best thing. Interestingly, the recent trending of the phrase President Musk could now perhaps indicate that Musk is now even eclipsing his new father too. The richest man in the world who seeks to appease a man who can give him the only thing he needs left. A real man who has strong charisma and a masculine presence. A real man who doesn't preoccupy himself with silly intellectual pursuits. Everything that Elon isn't. If Elon became close to such a man, he'd have all those things by default, surely. He'd have a father figure. My thoughts go out to you, Elon. No one told you the truth about someone like Trump.
There was never anything for me there. I never cared about you or your mother or any of your small